Hello, fellow Star Trek fans. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Clonestar Podcast. Of course, I am your host, Mike Overton. And joining me this week is someone who's built quite an incredible career across television, film, and theatre. With memorable appearances in Seinfeld, Quantum Leap, Wings, and Diagnosis Murder. But for Star Trek fans, she holds a very special place in our hearts. She first appeared in The Next Generation as Carmen DeVela in Silicon Avatar, and later returned to the franchise in Voyager as Danara Pel, the character whose moving relationship with Robert Picardo's The Doctor gave us one of the series' most enduring love stories. As Voyager celebrates its 30th anniversary, her performance remains a shining example of the franchise's ability to blend science fiction with deep emotional truth. Beyond Star Trek, she continues to expand her artistry in both an actor and a storyteller behind the camera. It's a real honor to welcome the very talented and versatile Susan Diol. Susan, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Oh, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
So, yeah, 30 years of Voyager. I mean, that's quite an achievement. I mean, I remember when Voyager first came onto the air, and I still can't believe it's 30 years ago.
I know when I think about when I was watching Star Trek as a kid, and then it's just, and it's funny how I just loved it. I loved those characters.
Yeah.
And I loved the facts. My dad is from India. He's half Indian and half Finnish. His mother was from Finland. She was in America, but he was born and raised in India.
Well,
And then we grew up in, Michigan and then outside of Chicago. And especially in Chicago, we were exposed to a lot of different kinds of people. And because I have so many Indian relatives, the thing I loved on Star Trek was just seeing so many different people that
yes.
looked like relatives of mine, and also seeing strong, to see strong women and strong characters, and
Yeah.
I think that I always had this idea of like if we went to see a movie when I was a kid, I'd say, well, when's there going to be a girl or a woman in
Yeah.
this? I liked this cartoon. There was Penelope Pit Stop. She drove a car, and I was just like, the Jetsons. There was
Yeah.
the mother and the daughter, and there was a TV show called Julia,
Mhm.
which I loved because she was a nurse, and she was a diversity, and I was always looking for those characters, the female characters and the people of the world. So I think that Star Trek just did an amazing job with that cast, um, because it just felt like, oh, this is life. This is real life.
Yeah.
And I felt connected to the people, and female role models, just for me always made such a huge impression.
And I think that's
Um,
something that Star Trek has done incredibly well throughout the years is just representation as a whole, whether it's
Absolutely.
female characters, whether it's LGBT characters, and everything in between. I think that's something that Star Trek has done phenomenally well. And if you didn't know, for everyone listening and watching, Jodie Pickens, our co-host, does an incredible series called The Women of Star Trek, including The Women of Voyager, where she deep dives with special guests, those incredible characters. So if you haven't found them, they're available on our YouTube channel, so they're definitely worth a watch. But Susan, let's kind of go right back to the beginning then. What first drew you to, well, performance and storytelling?
I think in the beginning, it was entertaining my family.
Oh, okay.
That's where it started. Um, they were a lively group. I have two sisters and a brother, and then my father had six brothers and sisters
Oh,
from
wow.
India. And but with my immediate family and my grandparents, it was yeah, it was making them laugh or putting on a dance. Or I used to do imitations of, like I would do W.C. Fields and Elvis Presley
Yeah.
and Louis Armstrong, and I would just make up characters from a very young age. And then my sister Kathy and I would put on plays and entertain the family. So I think that it was always for the audience. It was about, can I make them laugh? Can I make them cry? Can I make them think? Can I make them go and be nicer to people? My grandmother Aili Kolmainen was a folklore translator, a Finnish folklore translator. And I remember my sister and I would be, we were very close in age, so we sometimes would be, you know, butting heads, so to
Yeah.
speak. My grandmother started a Be Kind club. She wanted us to be kind, and I think that was something that always resonated with me. You have your feelings, you get mad at people, but at the end of the day, can you be kind? And I feel like in part of Star Trek or Quantum Leap, or I always look for the love in the character, even when it's a not such a nice character. Usually that's a person who's wanting love,
Yeah.
wanting attention, um, desperate to be noticed. And so I like the psychology behind characters. So I put on plays. I did plays. Sometimes I was a chimney sweep in Mary Poppins. My best friend, Patty Andriano, she got to be Mary Poppins, and I was just a chimney sweep. But by golly, I wore that charcoal. And so that I think that it set me up well for the auditioning and not getting roles. That is a
Yeah.
common common thing as an actor. And I think yes, I played little parts, Turkey Lurkey and Henny Penny, and you know, I think that you get to just dive into someone else's shoes. I mean, I also really do appreciate on Star Trek all the different characters with the different faces
Yeah.
and distorted, and I really do have a great appreciation for people not feeling like they're accepted
Hmm.
or because of how they look,
Yeah.
or made fun of, and it happened to me sometimes because I had a lot of skin problems, and um, so this issue with Danara Pel of her skin and not feeling attractive is something that really resonated with me personally. So I think throughout then I did plays. I did plays in high school. I was on the tennis team, but you couldn't be on the tennis team and be in the fall play. So I
Oh.
gave up the varsity tennis team so that I could
You
be in
made
the
the right
play.
choice there.
Yeah, I didn't. I really wasn't that good at tennis. Um, but then I went to college, and I immediately, I got cast my freshman year, which in the fall, which was kind of unheard of. And I got the opportunity to play a lot of different roles in college, and
Mhm.
it was Otterbein College in Westerville, Ohio, and we would have guest actors come in and things like that. But then my senior year of college, I got an internship at a casting office at Pat McCorkle
Oh,
casting office in New York City. And I was one of the first guinea pigs to go to a casting office with my friend Todd Reagan. So we went to New York City our senior year, the first semester. I mean, it was quite a change from Ohio.
yeah.
And but it was fantastic. And I got to be there to watch the actors audition for plays, and at that point I don't know how many TV shows or movies she was doing, but it was fantastic. And then I worked in the office. I organized the photos. I would organize the auditions, and it was and there was a young man named Bill Pullman who I just had a huge crush on, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, would you come and see my play, Susan? And it's called Curse of the Starving Class." And I was just like, "Oh, sure."
Why
Um,
not?
I mean, he was fantastic. Every audition he did, he was just, I mean, as an actor, a young actor, it was amazing. And so I got to go see him in that play. Of course, he was naked in the beginning of the play, and I was in the front row, and I was like, oh, oh, oh my goodness.
Where's the program? Let me hide myself. So,
Yes.
at what kind of point then did you realize that, yes, this is what I want to do? This is the career for me?
It's funny. Um, my mom, when I was a senior in high school, I hadn't taken the SATs. I hadn't thought about college. Um, and my mom said, you need to apply to college. She herself was not had gotten pregnant, so she wasn't able to go to college.
Right.
And she had been part of the first student-run TV station in, I think it was Piedmont, California. And my grandfather, Norman Johnson, he was a producer. Well, actually, he worked for General Motors, and so he was worked on the shows Bewitched and Bonanza, and he was very good friends with Lauren Green. And so my mother had had this little taste of, but my grandfather, he was an ad man for GM, and that's how he segued into,
Okay.
and worked at Bewitched as part of General Motors. They were overseeing, and Bonanza. But so she never got to go any further. And so
Right.
she said to me, "You have to go to college. You really have to go to college." So I applied to two colleges with very poor SAT scores. I got into, so I applied to Otterbein and Denison. If I had gone to Denison, I would have been in the class with Steve Carell, but I did not get into Denison. Someday. And then I had to do an audition, and my mother came with me because that's just the thing. And my mother was
Yep.
like always kind of pushing me a little. And then at one point I said to Carter Lewis, who was he's a wonderful, wonderful playwright and director. And I said, and I can sing a song. And my mother said, "Yes, get up and sing." And here, it's just when I think about it now, he
It's
must be
so
just like,
cringeworthy now.
I know. It's so embarrassing. But that's the beauty of it. It was my mother. She's such a champion. And she was that way for my father when he came here from India and he couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
And and she just said, "Well, let's go in the New York Times. Let's start applying." And then he ended up going to college as well. But I really have to thank my mother. She kind of was pushing me to do it. And so that's how it happened for
Wow.
me. And then once I got to college, because I really had always loved telling stories,
Yeah.
whether it's playing with Barbies or drawing people, I just wanted to go into, I guess, in some ways, the psychology of the people and why they were the way they are. And then if you suffer from any kind of um, meanness at times, which I think a lot of times most of us have, especially when you move from one town to the next town, or and you don't know anybody, or you go to college
Yep.
and there's some people there that aren't so happy that you're getting cast, and they might be saying things about you, and you go to the bathroom and cry, and then you got to suck it up. And I mean, I
Put a
just
brave
think that
face on. Yep.
that's right. And I think bullying, in whatever degree that it happens, and also, my father, not everybody in Ohio was always welcoming to somebody who's, from India, especially in the 70s and the
Yes.
70s. So I think that formed me a lot. And I don't see the world as all just white people. I just don't. So when I write my stories and I always feel like, where are the people that, we
Yeah.
need to have, and women, I like, so I have a friend that's a playwright, Jenny Webb, and she writes so many beautiful parts for women over 50. She'll be like, "Oh, well, they're four," and I'm like, "Yes, we need people. We need the writers." So I don't know if I answered your question or
No, that's
not.
fine. That's fine. I mean, look, your career spans television, film, and theatre. Where does that start then? So you're at the casting office in New York,
Hmm.
and I suppose that gives you some really unique insights to how the casting process works. And I'm guessing that obviously helps when it comes to you applying and obviously self-taping and everything and auditioning. So how do you go from being in a casting office to then your first, what I would say, real acting gig?
Well, I went back to college to graduate, but Pat and um, Barb Hipkiss, who was working at the office as well, they said to me, "As soon as you graduate, if you move to New York, we want you to come work with us because we love having you as a reader for the auditions." And I was like, "Oh, great. Okay." I worked at Macy's to earn money as a perfume spritzer. That was my day job. And I also did other odd jobs. And then when, they'd need a reader. And so I went to help them with the reading for a production of Twelfth Night that was going to be done at the Alaska Repertory Theater, which my dear friend Roy Brocksmith, who he's also known on Star Trek,
Yep.
he was directing it, and I was the reader, and I saw many people coming in to audition, and I I was all of 22, and I just said to him, "Can I audition? Can I audition for the role of Viola, the lead character of Twelfth Night?" And he did that what you just did.
That's ballsy.
He's like, all right,
Sure,
little.
whatever. Go for it.
He said, go, yeah, okay. And then he said to Pat, he's like, we're gonna have Susan. She wants to, and I put everything into that part, and I into the reading, and I got the part. And Pat said, oh well, she doesn't have her equity card. And Roy's like, I don't care. She's the one I want to play that part.
Wow. That must have been one hell of an audition then.
I mean, well, I just kept watching everybody kind of playing it safe. There was
Okay.
and I just went in with this passion.
You had
And
insider knowledge. That's what you're saying.
I did have some insider knowledge. And I had done the role of Olivia in college. So I played the other female role.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And then from there, I would after that I would go on auditions, like waiting in line, and then I got an agent. Actually, I got my agent through, I think it was a combination through Roy Brocksmith and Pat McCorkle, and her name was Pat House, the Actors Group Agency. And I started going on auditions. But I would go to open calls. So I went to an open call for the musical version of Carrie, and Barry Moss and Julie Hughes were the casting directors. And I remember waiting in line, and then I went up and I sang Manic Monday, I sang my heart out. And Barry Moss at that point said, you know what, we're not quite what they're thinking of for this part, but I'm going to keep you in mind because I really think you're great. And as an actor, you're just like, oh, okay. Well, sure enough, then they were casting a Broadway play, You Never Can Tell. And I went to audition for it. It was British.
Yep.
George Bernard Shaw. And the director, I think his name was Stephen Porter. I'm not sure. I did my audition, and he was like, that's who we want her. And then they said to him, no, we've already got the part cast. So at that point they said to me, look, the director loves you, but if something happens, then
we'll let you know.
We'll have her back. Well, sure enough, the lovely talented actress that was playing the role, Dolly Clanton, that I had auditioned for, Amanda Plummer, the show got extended and she had to leave to go do Pygmalion. Yes, Pygmalion. Yeah. And so they called me back and they said, we'd like you to read for the role. The only thing is you have to read for the whole cast. So I guess because the show had been running, and so in Circle in the Squares Theater in the Round. So, there I go to audition for Uda Hagen, who plays the mother. J.D. Cullum and John Cullum and Victor Garber. These amazing actors. So I went in there and did my spunky, and I got the part. And they said, okay, you'll start next week. And I said, oh, okay. And they said, yeah, you're gonna, you can't audition, you can't rehearse with the cast, but we have Michael Ritchie, the husband of Kate Burton.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't know if he was the husband of Kate Burton. He's the stage manager, and he's gonna read all the parts, and he'll rehearse with you and show you where to go. And I said, oh, okay. And then, so I was supposed to start on a Tuesday, and I was rehearsing with Michael, 3 days of rehearsal. And then they called me, Amanda had gotten sick, and they said, this was on Friday. I'd had like 3 rehearsals with Michael playing all the parts. And he's like, well, then you move over here and then you move over there. And, I mean, So Amanda got sick and they on Friday night, and so they asked me to start on Saturday.
Oh God.
And I had to go on the subway with my roommate, Jeff Kin, helping me memorize lines. And I just had to go. And so I get there and I'm like backstage with Victor Garber. And I'm like, I'm in a Broadway play. I opened the play with Victor Garber. And then I'm like, I'm in a play with Victor Garber. And then I get out on the stage. I had never been on the stage with all the other people.
Yeah.
And then Uta Hagen would be moving me slightly. Oh, my dear, trying to put me in the
Kind of
place.
guiding, kind of graciously pushing you out the way. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
That must have
that was
been tough, though, only having three, what I would say, not even real auditions, as it were. That's got to be tough.
it was it was surreal when I think about it now at that age to have accomplished
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, I don't really remember how many. I know it was not very many rehearsals at all, and I had to, and it was British,
Yeah.
like your lovely self. So
Thank you.
yeah, so that was
Wow.
that. And then from there, I think I started. I did. I did other theater. I did a couple commercials. I did a play at the Kennedy Center with Eli Wallach and Ann Jackson.
Mhm.
Um, and it was supposed to move to Broadway, but then of course the critics the critics killed it in
Got to love the critics.
yes. And then from there I auditioned for a TV pilot called The Clinic, which they then changed to Hot House.
Oh.
It was created by J. Preston Allen,
Mhm.
and it was only a 7-episode ABC series starring Joseph Summer and Catherine Borowitz and Michael Jeter, um, and Michael Learned. It was a lovely cast, and I got cast as the wife of the son. Tony Soper was the actor who played my husband, and it was a wonderful. It was about the doctors living in the hothouse of the psychiatric patients,
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
all in this big. So it was very unusual. But
Was that your first kind of real TV role that wasn't an ad or
I think I
commercial?
had done the Cosby Show. I did a couple episodes of the
Okay.
Cosby Show as Lisa Bonet's friend, and I was there when Lenny Kravitz was, dating her, and they were kissing backstage, and I was just like, I didn't, you know. So I had done some small parts like on Day Play or on a soap opera or something like that.
Right.
But and I did one bank commercial that was seen by Alan Burns out here in LA, and he had kept me in mind, and then he ended up casting me in a 2-episode part on a show called FM. Um, it was like those kinds of things happen where somebody sees you in something and
Yeah.
then
They
um,
remember.
they remember.
They
Yeah.
make a note. So I'm guessing then that was the kind of the turning point then for your sort of role and experience where things kind of shifted.
Hmm. Yes, but as you always would have your other job.
Yeah.
Be going back to being a perfume spritzer. So, and I think it's really great in a lot of ways because it really humbles you.
Yeah.
You don't get too, I mean, maybe some people do, but it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I was on that TV series and now I'm back to,
Spritzing perfume.
perfume.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, that industry, you are technically a superhero. You are a perfume spritzer by day and an actress by night. That's the way that I look at it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, then I did other little plays and things. And then, I was flown out for an episode to audition for Santa Barbara,
Okay.
a soap opera that Robin Wright was on. I think she might have. I don't know if I auditioned for her part, but then I came back. But this was the kind of thing where you're auditioning for this soap opera, and then you're in this lobby of this hotel, and then there's this guy, and he's a little bald, and he looks familiar. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Telly Savalas. What do you what are you girls doing? He was friendly. And then eventually I auditioned for a TV pilot. They flew me out to audition for a TV pilot called Road Raiders with Bruce Boxleitner to play the
Yeah.
female lead. And Leslie Jordan was in it, and a bunch of other great. Oh, and I forgot to mention when I did Twelfth Night at the Alaska Repertory Theater, Ethan Phillips was in that production with me.
Oh, we all loved it. We love Ethan. Ethan's
I
wonderful.
know he's amazing.
It's quite funny. I actually so last year I adopted two cats.
Oh,
And I have a ginger cat who I have named Neelix. Um, After Ethan's character, and
yes.
then my other half named the other cat Cinder after a dragon from a video game. But there we are. So yeah, so I always for years was like, if I ever have a ginger cat, it's being called Neelix purely because of Neelix.
Oh, that's
Love
such
that
a great
character.
idea. I have two feral ginger cats that live outside, and one of them I just call Tabby, and the other one is called Einar after a cat that was adopted by a friend of ours in Iceland that he loved, that was a ginger cat.
Ah,
But no, maybe I should rename Tabby, give him a little
give him a bit of
upgrade.
Neelix. So it's what 1991, I want to say, and you get cast in The Next Generation, in the episode Silicon Avatar. So how did that come about then?
It's just an audition, a casting audition. You go in, and then I'm just like, oh, this character. When I got cast, I was like, oh, she's only in like 5 minutes. But the great thing about almost all of these shows, it's such a collaboration where I think that they found out that my father was from India. I
Yeah,
can't remember if they put in the chicken curry because they found out that I was, I don't know, but it seemed like they I don't know, it seemed like that was put in because they found out, but I could be completely wrong.
ah,
I
okay,
don't know.
no, fair enough.
And that was, I mean, that was such to me, having been such a fan of Star Trek as a kid, I
Yeah.
was just like thrilled. I was just thrilled to be to be there. Yeah.
And a few years go past, and then you get cast for Dr. Danara Pel in Star Trek Voyager. So did that come about because of The Next Generation, or was that completely separate?
I mean, I think that they liked me on The Next Generation. I think it was completely separate, although I think that it was the same casting director. And perhaps, yeah, because it was a very different character, I felt.
Yeah.
Because Camilla she was kind of a little flirty and, she was a little different than Danara. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's probably one of my favorite parts I've ever played, Danara Pel. It is just so. I mean, I connected and related so much to having had skin problems. And
Yeah.
I remember when I was on set for Hot House, I remember some guy on set, he was just like, wow, her makeup's really thick. And I heard him and I was just like, yeah, because I have pimples and scars. So yeah, they have to cover it up. But that's so I think that I just really felt such a connection to that character, and to anybody who feels like they're not attractive, or they have a physical deformity or disfigurement. It doesn't really matter how big or small it is. It's just that feeling of not, just feeling like people might be laughing at you or
Yeah.
making fun of you. I really connected to that, and I just felt like it was such a beautiful character to have. And
Yeah.
I've had people. I just did autograph signing in New York at the end of May, and I had a woman just come up and start crying, and she said, "I've had rashes my whole life." And I said, "I know, me too." And she said, "You don't understand what that character meant to me." And I said, "This is what, this is like this is what you really want as an actor, to know that you gave someone hope, or just
Absolutely.
made them feel like they weren't all alone, and that, that's like the whole reason for doing it to me. It's all about the audience. It's never about ego or, oh, look at me. It's just like, no, 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 don't look at me. Look at the character, right? I mean, I don't like, I get kind of shy if I get too much attention on me. But yeah, so that's where it so makes everything so meaningful, to know that you made a difference, even if it's just for one show. And then,
Think-
of course, I did the Seinfeld as well,
Yeah.
where I again played, and they have a close up of my big poured nose. I mean, like, you can see the scars on my face. I'm like, okay, people have scars, people have big pores, people
Yep.
have pimples. Let's just be real. But it was interesting on that show, because I didn't have the prosthetic nose till the day of shooting. And there were people that, around the craft service table you have conversations with, and and I remember once, the day that I had the nose, there were people that I'd had, you know, sometimes you have pretty meaningful conversations on
Yep.
set. That's also part of the fun of it,
Yes.
being on set. And I remember people, not a lot of people, but just a couple guys maybe, just being like, they didn't know who I was. And my nose was very big, Jimmy Durante's nose here. And they really didn't want to talk to me.
Oh
And I
no.
found it so
And you have to go, it's
interesting.
prosthetic, honestly. It's not real.
Yeah, but I thought, okay, this is really interesting. Once again, that when how you look, and
Yeah, exactly. So I think one of the things for me, Danara Pel is a beautifully layered has a beautifully layered relationship with the Doctor.
yes.
What do you remember most about kind of stepping into the Delta Quadrant?
Well, I just remember everybody across the board was so kind and friendly, and a lot of really super smart people. I mean, Bob Picardo, eh, and what is the lovely actress who played, um Ki-
Oh,
she
Kess.
Cass, yes.
Oh, I can't remember her name.
I don't remember her name either. I'm so sorry.
It's
She
me.
was she's so
Jennifer
lovely.
Lynn. Jennifer Lynn.
Such a lovely, lovely, pure actress. And so, it was like she was I mean, a movie star, the way when she was looking at me, she just was just so present. And so was Bob, and across the board, makeup, hair, crew, director, producers, everybody just so professional, and just loved being there. And that just makes you, and it's so welcoming.
Yeah. So how did you find the makeup then? Because I'm guessing it was, well, was it a full face prosthetic or was it?
Yes.
How
Well,
did you find it?
when I was the Vidian with
Yeah.
the body parts, yes, that was a lot. That took a long time. And then I had like an alternate, because on some days we were shooting both
Oh,
scenes,
okay.
like with just both sides of me.
Yeah.
And so there was a time when I had done the whole scene with, Helix and everybody in the bar, and then they had to do a dancing scene. There was no time for me to redo the makeup, and so I had a stand.
Ah.
And I mean, I can tell when I'm looking at it, and but it was pretty extensive. I can't remember how many hours. It feels like it was 4 hours or
Yeah.
more. And then for Danara Pel, with, even that, the, forehead
Forehead. Yeah.
prosthetic, took a while. I mean, I love the creativity of all those faces and characters. I mean, what a wonderful job to be able to come up with those, all the different, the textures and
Yep.
the tattoos and the ears and the hair and
Whiskers. So, what was it like then working with Bob Picardo and portraying a love story with, well, it's kind of a unique sci-fi framework?
it was it was just heaven. And I think for him, he had never had a scene like that before.
No.
He was always just, and for him, it was, I think, really important to be able to show that side of his character and to fall in love. And I think we both just had such a mutual um, affection and attraction, and it was just so easy to act with him, and just felt very heartfelt and real.
Yeah.
And I think that he just held that kind of space.
I think that's
So
something that he does incredibly well. And that character as a whole goes from, the very early seasons of being a glorified light bulb to
yeah,
essentially being a part of the family at the end of it. And I think the character growth that he has for that character is incredible.
yeah.
Obviously, Voyager celebrates 30 years this year. Why do you think it's remained such a beloved part of the Star Trek universe?
I think it's because of the writing and the characters and the directors and the producers and all those collaborators, and of course makeup and hair, because that's a huge part of it, the creation of these
Yep.
characters. So it's the actor, it's the director's influence, it's the producer, the writers, and then the hair and makeup. It's essential, I think. I think that Star Trek has always touched upon themes that resonate with people.
Yeah.
And I think that that show, those characters really resonated with people, and that's why I think I think it's also why we still like to watch Star Trek from the original
Yeah.
series or the Twilight Zone. You think about the themes, they're still continuing on today, and then there are things we have to look. There are wars.
Yep.
You think that we'd be having wars at this point? You wouldn't. And then there's the wanting to have a utopia, and what I mean. I still can't believe what's going on now,
I
and
know.
whenever we talk about it, but the lack of humanity uh, is just
It's mad, isn't it?
outrageous.
It's absolutely
It's
mad.
it's like, how can anybody sign on, go along with this? And so, I think that these series, they have those kind of characters. They have the fighting battles and everything. I just wish it was more just in a show and not happening in real life right now.
Absolutely. So obviously you were in 2 episodes of Voyager, Lifesigns and Resolutions. What's something about filming that fans might not know?
I think when you are actually like standing near a board of something and it just looks like, I mean, it looks like cardboard or something. Also when you're doing certain shots and you can't be looking at the person for whatever reason, because they can't be there because they are having to go shoot something else, or
Yep.
or just because of the proximity of the shooting. Yeah, I feel like there are all these tricks that have to be done, which it's so much fun because it reminds me of like when I'm a kid. I once made a roller coaster in my basement, which was just piling up chairs with a cardboard box and it just
Okay.
goes
Yep.
down. But there was some aspect of that when you're on set sometimes. And for Quantum Leap, they've gotten pretty sophisticated now but I remember just, you see the like beyond the camera, you see all the people standing
Yep.
around talking, and so you have to you just have to dive into the reality of the situation. But yeah, so I think that is always funny to me when it looks so great on film,
On
and then
camera, it looks
it
perfect, but
almost looks
behind the
like
scenes, it's just a hole
it
in the
almost
wall.
looks like kind of tacky, and I'm always fascinated by that. I was like, how did they get this to look that way? So I think that's probably one of the most things
So
about.
obviously, past Star Trek, you've expanded into directing and producing. What motivated you to step behind the camera?
Storytelling. I mean, I think that I mostly just have helped, people with short films overseeing and, you know, I'm a mom. And so there's a part of like being a producer where you have to, make sure everybody's fed. You got to get the paperwork signed,
Yep.
and I like to make sure everybody's got enough food and that they're happy and that they're feeling okay. Um, and I think it's always just collaborating and contributing to somebody's story, whatever it is. I mean, and I've not ever produced anything full length yet, but I. I'm writing my own stories. I'm rewriting a play of mine. I'm in a theater company, the Road Theater in North Hollywood in California, in NoHo. And I was in a play last year. We only do new plays.
Right.
So that's pretty exciting. We have a summer playwrights festival. We have an under construction writers lab where we get writers from all over the world who submit their work and they complete a full length play. And now we have a play running right now called Otherkin. And they always come out of our summer playwrights festival or this new under construction. So the play that I did last year by Laura Stribling, which she also directed, was called Singularities, and I played Mariah Mitchell. And so that was about computers of Venus, women astronomers.
Oh,
Pretty fascinating, and really it was her take on it, which was wild and wonderful, different time periods of these female scientists. So that was wonderful. So yeah, I think, I've directed a lot of play readings at my theater company, and I always love collaborating with actors and the playwrights. Like I have a friend, Kristen Lazarian. She's a fabulous playwright. She's also had a couple of her films now made, her plays that were made into to movies. But I love working with her because it's just like I want to get inside her brain. I like having her. I like having her there at the rehearsals. I'm not one of those directors who's just like, oh, I'm going to do
yeah.
my thing. No, no, no. You wrote this is your baby,
Yeah. You need to
you
be
know.
here.
And I just love that, and I love it when actors transform where they start out. So I would love to be able to, direct a full length piece. I haven't done it yet, but
Yet is the operative word here.
yet.
Exactly. So, how does your experience as an actor then inform the way that you direct others?
I think it makes you very sensitive because all actors are different.
Yeah.
Some people have a difficult time getting a direction or a note. And
Right.
so it's finding a way, you have to really find a way to communicate. You have to kind of suss out the people pretty quickly. And maybe you've known them before, but you kind of have to gauge, you have to use psychology, you have to use grace and kindness, but then you also have to be the authority. And if somebody's not quite getting, but you have to gauge how is that actor
Right.
can,
Okay.
how do I convey this to them without turning them off? Because I remember once I was in a directing class, and I gave an actor a note. It was just because their hair was like on their, and I think that was their part of their character. Their hair was in their
Right.
face, and I just said, hey, can you just clip the hair back a little or something? And for some reason that really affected the actor, and they kind of shut down.
Oh.
And it was a class, so you only had like 2 hours to shoot
Yeah.
the whole thing. And then my job as a director was trying to get them back. How do I get them back? How do I, because actors are sometimes such highly sensitive people, and they have to be.
Yeah.
And so I think the director, it's this fine dance of being the authority, being in charge, but also really, especially in film and TV, you're like running a big crew, and
Yeah.
you've got a lot of personalities, and you've got to make a lot of decisions on the spot. It's kind of like when we're in theater and we're doing tech, where they're like looking at, well, what about this light? What about the, and on film, you have to be an amazing leader,
Yeah.
and quick decision maker, and then also navigate the feelings of people.
I suppose, yeah, that can be quite difficult if you've got an actor that's almost sort of shut down and gone back into their shell, to then
Yeah,
get them back out of their shell and to get them back to where they were. That could be really difficult.
I know, and sometimes you, of course, you're human. You can feel very frustrated,
Yeah.
but yeah, and you can't let them feel that
No, because at
either.
the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is, turn them off even more.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. My daughter, Juliet Cassidy, I mean, she's far more. She's already written like two full-length screenplays. She's already shot two short films, and that she wrote, starred in, and directed.
wow.
And she just won a contest in LA. I'm like such a proud mother. I couldn't be there because I was on a trip in Italy for my partner's sister's 60th birthday, and everything was all paid for. And then Juliet won this contest, and I'm so impressed with her. I watched her because she was shooting at my house that day.
Yeah.
And it was the day that I was flying out that night to go to the Star Trek convention in New York, and she was like handling everything. She had her shot list. I mean, she shot her first film when she was 16, and then I produced it. And what happened was we had a problem with the sound. We had a problem with the camera, and we just couldn't salvage it. And
Yeah.
we did it on the shoestring budget. And that film, it always haunts me because what she did with that film was amazing. And her cousin Bo Cassidy starred in it, and her uncle Patrick Cassidy. And it just, and I'll say to her, "Oh, can't we just go back and try?" And she's like, "No, but she was
Done.
16. So she's so much further along than me. So I kind of like, she's like I look up to her
She's become your
because
role model.
she has become my role model, and she's got a strength and a confidence that I grapple with mine. But when I saw how she was on set that day, and she had everything organized, and I was helping do craft service with her partner Annie Hartwell, and I was helping her, and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, wow, she's so impressive, and she just was calm, and today they were having fun, and she knows what she wants, she knows her shots. And she was like that at 16. There was a person on set who was trying to tell her to change a shot at 16, and she was like,
Nope.
"No, that's how."
That's the shot. If you don't like it, tough.
And she was right. And so I want to be more like her when I grow up.
Well,
But
that's
as
just a
far as
testament to her
directors
bringing
go,
it up. There we go.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Um, so what's one lesson then that you've learned from directing or producing that you wish you could have known earlier on in your career?
I would say trust your instinct. And if someone doesn't really seem like they are completely knowing what they're doing,
Yeah.
if get somebody, get someone, pay for somebody who's really more professional. I think that there's part of me that's the TP2, hey, we can put on a play for $1. Hey, and I think that's the real I mean, I'm like, hey, yeah. So, but I think that was, I think that was the problem with my daughter's first film, is that I didn't listen. I thought I didn't know enough. And so I acquiesced to, but we didn't get people. And these people I'm sure they're doing really well now, and they're really talented, but they were just starting out.
Yeah.
But I should have gotten a paid more money, and gotten more professional people, because that would have been a brilliant film for a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to do we had to do blood. There's a time when someone gets stabbed. Actually, I think it was her cousin Bo got stabbed in the neck, and so her brother Jake Cassidy, who has his own production company and works commercials and film, and he's just one of the smartest people I've ever known. He said, well, let's get a good makeup artist. And so Juliet and I went, we had to go to like get a pump thing, and we had to figure it out on our own because, we were on a totally low budget. And then this wonderful makeup artist, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. She told us what to do. And then some, so he like has a pump, and it worked brilliantly. And it was like, oh my God, it's one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, and like, I'm like the proud mother. But it was a big mistake not to have professional and just pay the extra money. So I'd say pay the extra money,
Yeah.
especially for camera, sound, and lighting. Pay the extra money.
Yeah, I mean, it's that saying, isn't it? You pay for what you get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Now, obviously, you've had a career that touches so many fan-loved universes. Do fans usually bring up Star Trek first, or is there sometimes a surprise by which roles people remember most?
Yeah, it's sometimes a surprise. I mean, with this recent reboot of Quantum Leap, it was that was that's been really fun because even though that character was only in one episode, people loved that character. And I'm the only that was the only character I was the only actor that was brought back in the
Right.
new series, and I auditioned for the part, which I was like, oh God, they have to can't they have to cast me, right? And I did the self tape in Iceland, but I wasn't sure if they would cast me or not because the character was supposed to be maybe probably in our 70s. And it was so sad that Dean Stockwell passed away, and I
Yeah.
never got to see him again. He was amazing to work with. But yeah, I saw the people always Seinfeld is a big fan favorite. Seinfeld, Quantum
Yeah.
Leap, and of course the Star Trek shows. And then sometimes I'll get a soap opera fan from when I played. I played Emmy on Days of Our Lives,
Yep.
and that was the thing where I was this very sweet nurse who loved Bo, Peter Ruckel's character. And then one day the producer came to me and said, well, Emmy could be bad. I took it so personally. I was like, no, no, she can't be bad. And they did make her bad, and then they killed her off. But then I did Angela Holliday, who was a phony preacher con artist on One Life to Live.
Right.
And my love interest was um, Chris Cousins, who went on to do, I think was he on Breaking Bad? He was on some show.
Right.
He was a few seasons of that. But that was a great character to play because I start out as an evangelist preacher and like doing sermons and being this beloved character. And then I actually was conning everybody. And I had a big scene where they ripped my blonde wig off, and my dark hair fell down with the character named Dorian Lord. And it was quite, so that was those shows, people are watching them every day. So even though I was only on each of those a year,
Yeah.
still they're seeing you so much, then they feel like they know you. And I remember one time I was in a grocery store, and a woman came up to me and said, "You stay away from Bo." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." She goes, "You stay away from Bo. He belongs to Carly." And I was like, "Oh, I'm just an
I'm
actor."
just doing what I'm told.
It's not real. But you can't say that. You can't say that it's not real. But I'm
No.
always surprised at when people, they just love it so much, and that they're that committed that they're actually angry at you because of your character. Yeah, so it's interesting.
So obviously, when you look back at your body of work, what is the one role that you're most proud of?
I think it's Danara Pel. I just, I mean, when I watch that episode, I still cry about it. I still cry because, you cry for all the people who don't feel loved, or
Yeah.
who feel like they don't look good, and they don't, and I have felt that way, and people go, how could you feel that way? It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A person can feel that way no matter how they look on the outside. And I also think, having a dad from India, um, where I don't look Indian, and don't present that way at all, but I have relatives, it just, when there are things that happen where people are not as kind to people because of their color of their skin, or, I just feel that I just don't understand that at all. And so humanity, please bring us more humanity and
Mm,
acceptance of people.
absolutely. So what is next for you? What are your sort of upcoming projects? Because I think there's a couple, isn't there, that are
Well, I
in the
did a,
works?
a movie last year, called Rhythm is the Dancer, which is starring Amy Aquino and Tate Donovan and Lauren Castor. And so Lauren Castor is like my daughter. She wrote, directed, and stars in this film. She
Well,
started out by doing a short film to kind of, as to give a bite of it, to like get financing and stuff, and she did. And that film, and I have a small part in it, but I loved working on it. And that film is premiering at the Austin Film Festival,
oh wow,
October 25th.
because I love your character's name, Drunk Donna.
I know. Yes, yes, I've known many drunk Donnas in my life, and I possibly have been drunk Donna
Yeah.
at times. So yeah, yes, it was a lot of fun shooting that. And she, Lauren was great. The DP was great. The whole, production was fantastic. And it's based on her own real story
Oh wow.
of looking for her sperm donor daddy,
Oh, okay, interesting.
and then finding him, and then having a relationship, and being brought into his family. I hope I'm not giving anything away by
No,
saying.
I'm sure
By
that's
the
fine.
time this airs, maybe it'll already have
So
premiered.
when does that? Sorry, October the.
October 25th at the Austin Film Festival, which I feel like it's a really prestigious
Yeah,
film festival. So I'm like, wow, this is exciting. So I'm
that's
doing that, and then I'm finishing. I had a short play that I wrote that people really loved, that was in our Summer Playwrights Festival years ago, and I am making it into a full-length play, and then I see it being a film as well. And
wow.
then I have another little thing I'm working on, writing and acting, and probably co-directing, um, which I'm writing as well. And so those projects are near and dear to me. And then, because otherwise you're just, you audition and you keep hoping that you throw an audition at the wall, you're hoping it sticks,
Something
and then
sticks.
you get
Yep.
the job. But in the meantime, I just feel like I want to create my stories and characters, and just bring more humanity into the world,
Which is something
wherever.
we desperately need.
And humor. I'm a big fan of funny.
So I have two final questions then. First to last is obviously as Voyager celebrates 30 years, if you could send a message to your character Danara Pel, what would it say?
Hmm. Um, you are loved, and you are beautiful, and what matters most is the beauty of your heart.
That's lovely. And then finally, we ask this of all of our guests. So it's really easy, won't take much thought at all. Susan Diol, what does Star Trek mean to you?
Humanity.
I love
That's
that.
what it means to me. Always has.
Susan, thank you so much for giving up your time to chat with me today. Remember, for everyone listening and watching, you can catch up with more Clonestar Podcast at our website, clonestarpodcast.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button as well. But until next time, stay curious and always boldly go.